I call Denise Roach. Makwe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ka tangi te kaka, ka tangi te titi, ka tangi ko ahau, ti hei mauri ora. So I rise to take this call for the third and final reading of Te Piri mō Te Reo Māori Bill, which I feel is truly historic. Ko tōku nei wawata ka taia tātou katoa e noho noho nei kia Aotearoa kia rere ai Te Reo Māori, Te Reo o Oku Rangatira, Te Reo Takitaki o Aotearoa. All New Zealanders, all of us, should be able to speak our Indigenous language. Some of us struggle with it, and we will continue. Because I see that if we learn this language, then we strengthen our nationhood. Of our total population, only 3.73% can hold a conversation in Te Reo Māori, and I'm one of those 3.73%. And language is not just about how we communicate. Language forms us. Our language expresses who we are and where we're from. And language dictates how we think. 21% of Māori speak Te Reo, and it is slowly declining. The statistics show that there are more speakers of Te Reo Māori in the over 6-year-olds, and that kind of explains why there is that slow decline as people get older and we aren't bringing the others through. Then the reo starts to decline. And my hope, sir, and I'm sure it's the hope of this entire House, is that this bill, the strategies within it, the revitalisation strategies will reverse that decline. The benefits of Te Reo is that we know where we are from. We know who our people are. We know who we are. Essentially, we know our place in the world. And to be without that knowledge is to be dislocated from an essential part of the story about ourselves. And it is all too common in Māori across this country. And that plays out in the woeful statistics that we see in the health outcomes, in the early death rates, around the low education achievements, employment, even our pay rates. Te Reo is a taonga, and it is the government's duty to protect it, as well as all people in this country, to protect and work on it becoming a flourishing and beautiful language that it should be, that we should all have access to. The story of the decline of Te Reo in this country is the story of colonisation. And the true story of colonisation is not known by most New Zealanders because it's not taught in schools, because we don't commemorate those who died in the land wars in the Waikato, for example, or have the mainstream understand that the true meaning of the 5th of November is not Guy Fawkes. The true meaning of the 5th of November is when 1,600 volunteers and armed constabulary invaded the peaceful settlement of Parihaka and arrested Te Whiti o Rangomai and Tohu Kakahi. Without that understanding of who we are, where we've come from, and the history of this land, then our nationhood is fractured, sir. And the sad histories that are outlined in every treaty bill, the sad histories of iwi and hapu, it is so terrible that most mainstream non-Māori New Zealanders don't even get to understand or an inkling of what happened. Sir, I've heard kids my daughter's age talk about the fact that they didn't learn anything about the Treaty of Waitangi, anything about the true history of this land until they were at university. And that is a sad indictment on all of us, and all of us here in this Parliament, where we should be making laws to ensure that all of our kids have access to the true history of this land, and all of our kids have access as a core subject to Te Reo Māori in schools. Sir, we've got a long way to come. We've got a long way to go, but this is a beginning. It's a continuation, but it's also a beginning, and the Greens are committed to getting there.